So, citizen, let's get straight to it. When we hear about loans, the first thing that people put at the back of their minds is that we want to go and borrow. And people have often asked questions. When you go and borrow just common borrowings, from somebody who is a money lender, he will ask you certain questions and put certain conditions on the table, let alone when we have state governments or the federal government borrow, there are conditionalities from this big mega borrowers. And Sarah has asked, had asked sometime last month that the loans obtained since 1999, Nigerians should be furnished with the details of those conditions. What's your take on this matter?
My first take is to commend Serap. Serap has remained virtually the only voice in the civil society that is loud enough and which is able to cure somebody with hearing disability. If anybody has hearing disability, in quote, and is not cured by the kind of uh, healing that Sarah brings to society, maybe that person doesn't exist, like Fubara will say to the,
The House of
the
Assembly.
House of Assembly of Rivers State. That person doesn't exist. So I commend Sarah. But beyond that, looking at the history of loans in Nigeria, and starting from 1999, it's also a plus because somebody will say, how can we start from 1960? How can we start from this? Why? Because by 1999, President Obasanjo, the then former President Obasanjo, who had tested all sides of life, being in the military as a high-ranking officer, being in very high command, and accidentally becoming the military head of state when his boss was killed. I remember I was a young boy then, and he cried. He was in tears while announcing that he is now the president. He said, "It's not my will, against my will," which he later put into a book. Thereafter, he ended up in prison when our strongman, Abacha, needed to put some persons where he feels they belong so that he can assume maximum power that he really needed. But Abacha is not as devilish as people have painted him, because under Abacha, the economy, Nigeria has never had it so good economically. Abacha was a miracle worker, and that's because he had a team who had brain and who were patriotic. So, Obasanjo was brought out of prison to become the head of state. And he knew that the world had made Nigeria a pariah state. Abacha refused IMF loan and decided to run his economy the way he felt he could run with experts from this country. And guess who? Two of those experts were from this part of the world. The Minister of Finance then was Antonio Ani, and the consultant that was giving the passes was from here, Professor Akwa Hoganepo. Some persons may not know. Let me share a little history, privileged history. They were looking for an expert, the kind of person that World Bank will see as this. If you have this man, you can run your economy. So the minister went to World Bank to go and tell World Bank, please, I need your consultant to help us put ideas together on how we can best run the economy. You know what the World Bank told them? The World Bank told the minister, our consultant is from Nigeria. And the man was shocked. And what's his name? Akpan. And the minister said, my God, Akpan has got to be from Cross River or from Akwa Ibom. So, what's the full name? They now mentioned the name. I think it was a doctor then. Akpan Hoganepo. Minister raised back down to Nigeria and sent an armed team to go and invite the war experts. Let me not go to other details there. And Akwa reported. The rest is history. That was how Abacha was able to hold the economy, hold the foreign exchange rate, made Nigeria, that was a pariah state, to become one of the best performing economies. What am I trying to say? Abacha had his weakness, but he had his strength. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Obasanjo was framed up and imprisoned. The what do you call it? Abiola
June 12th.
June 12 issue came up, and Nigeria, for the first time, had to think their brain was reset. So they said the only way to compensate the West that lost Abiola and also had Shonekon sacked in 3 months, they are from the same state, mind you, was to bring somebody from the Southwest. And so the ticket of the major parties were given to people from the Southwest, and even from the same state. I can't remember fairly where his state is from, but Obasanjo from the same state, Ogun State. So Obasanjo knew that
I think Falai is from Oshun.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Okay. So the important thing was that the West was to produce whosoever was to emerge as the president of Nigeria to make up for the wickedness that was done to Abiola and the West. West, because he was from there. Otherwise, whosoever wins an election, no matter his region, should be given the right to rule or to lead. So Obasanjo now decided to clear the image that was created by Abacha and reset things that had been destroyed. Remember, Absalom Abubakar was just there for about 9 months, and he was in a hurry to hand over. That was why even the condition that we have now was done in a room by one person who was just getting private input to doctor the 1998 and previous constitutional conference outcomes. That's why you find some very terrible things in there. One person from the north, and it was a decree. Not it was, it is. The constitution that we're using now is a decree. Decree 24, thereabout that. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, the listeners would help us out. So he hurriedly did the handing over.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have just been corrected that Falai is from Ondo State, actually.
Okay, beautiful.
Ondo
we
State.
have awesome listeners
Yes,
there.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, Obasanjo decided to reach out to the world. He did a lot of traveling which were necessary, not like the ones that we are having nowadays. And those travelings, and the fact that he did the kind of thing that Abacha did, going to the World Bank to ask for the best mind, or if not going to the World Bank, having known the kind of mind, the kind of capacity of a team he should have to succeed, he went for Okonjo-Iweala. And some people may not be aware of this. I read this, and I think I heard in a conversation too. Okonjo-Iweala gave condition to Mr. President. She was at the World Bank. I am not coming unless I'll be able to take decisions and you accept my proposals, and then you're going to have an economic team which I am going to lead. And Mr. President selflessly said, I accept. And that woman came, and the economy of Nigeria changed. I can't remember exactly how much we're owing, but it was injurious to us as a people. Obasanjo went for what was called debt relief, debt forgiveness.
Debt cancellation.
Yes, forgiveness or debt cancellation, whatever term you want to use. And agreements were signed across the world. The Paris Club, the this and that, the World Bank, the IMF, and some other ones like that, global bodies. And they were impressed with the kind of idea, the initiative, the proposals, and the body language, and the level of integrity this man was coming to the table with. I think we paid about 18 billion, if I'm not wrong. And the rest of the debt were forgiven. I can't remember how much it was, but whatever happens, I think 18 billion was involved. We paid part, and the rest of the debt were forgiven. And between then, Obasanjo handed over to Yaradua. Yaradua, unfortunately, one of the best we had, became incapacitated and eventually died in office. And Jonathan took over. Ike, you are aware, you are one of the brightest minds walking this earth. By the time Jonathan left, as reckless as PDP was said to be, and they were to an extent, which I also wrote in my magazine, that prisons should be built to put some persons there, because the level of corruption that we believe we saw then will plunge Nigeria into crisis. By the time Jonathan left, Nigeria's debt, outstanding debt, was $12 billion. Dollars. Fast forward to 2023, when the man that cried to be president, cried like a baby, like a current president said when he was campaigning in Ogun State. Oh, Sonkunleri television. He wept. He wouldn't do it again. And he cried. And like Tinubu said, he said, don't cry. I will make you president. And actually, he made him president. And the man took us to $97 trillion, or 80 something trillion before he left office. And we must know that loans are not taken in secret. Loans are not taken without approvals. Loans are not taken without agreements. Then loans are not taken without a purpose. What are the purpose of taking loans? It is, one, to be put into productive revenue generating sectors or potential revenue generating sectors. What's the process? The process is that the Federal Executive Council has to look at what loan is the government, the executive, proposing to take, and for what purpose. Where are you getting these loans from? The Fed will look at it, and then it will be sent to the Attorney General of the Federation for legal advice.
He's supposed to study it and look at the grey areas and give advice where necessary.
Absolutely. Now, after taking the legal advice, which should be an expert's view, it will now be forwarded to the National Assembly. The National Assembly
will also scrutinize.
And National Assembly is not about individuals or somebody that has been there since 1999. You say, oh, it's a what do they call that? That title they give to themselves, ranking. And if you know some of the people that have been that are called ranking, you know that it's completely a no rank fellow, because some of them have not even spoken since they went there.
Some of them.
Yeah, some of them. They have not spoken, but they are there. They know why they are there. So, but it's supposed to represent the people, you and I. By the time it gets to the National Assembly is supposed to look at, oh, this loan, how much? For what program? What are the terms? Which means the agreement are supposed to be there, to be vetted, and then approval given, either with amendments or express approval that, okay, we are good to go because it's going to improve the economy. So what have we been having? After we were taken away from becoming a debt-ridden nation, and one administration under the man called General Muhammad Buhari took us back there in a very terrible and crude manner. And
you will have to justify this thing you're saying.
Yes.
Because of course, so that we don't appear as though you're labeling someone without having facts.
No.
You must have to justify this, the terms you've used.
I'm going to do more than justify.
Okay, so please, we're listening.
For instance,
justify that.
For instance, in 2022, the House of Reps of the Federal Republic of Nigeria became enraged when they heard that the loans taken for the Abuja Kaduna railway project, the project was to cost a little over 849 million dollars, and they went for a loan in China to collect 500 million dollars to fund the project. Along the line, conversations which did not come from government, which came from citizens, concerned people who were nosing around to see how to make the country work, said that loan that was collected from China by Nigeria through the Ministry of Transport headed by the then minister Chubike Amechi, former governor of Rivers State, that loan was written in Chinese language, and that language is called Mandarin. And there were clauses in the loan that has ceded the sovereignty.
It was alleged, because of course,
okay,
this thing. So we keep it there, since we do not exactly have the documents to, categorically state what was being alleged. So we'll keep it in the realm of allegations.
We will not just keep it in the realm of allegation. We should be able to look at what came out of that probe.
By all means.
The House of Reps members felt very terrible looking at what has been happening in certain countries having to do with Chinese loans. In Sri Lanka, Papua New Guinea, Maldives, Pakistan, Malaysia, Mongolia, Republic of Kazakhstan. Come to Africa. Angola has the highest loan from China. $25 billion. Nigeria, that we are even crying like this. You know how much is our own?
How much?
A little above $4 billion.
Okay. That's what we owe China then.
China alone.
Mm.
But the bilateral loans taken by Nigeria, having to do with about 6 countries, is a little above $5 billion.
Okay.
That makes China the country that Nigeria owes the highest amounts.
Okay. So
in terms of bilateral loans. Now, when the House of Reps questioned why the loan agreement was written in Mandarin, which means there was no vetting of the loan agreement by the National Assembly.
Are these facts that you're speaking? Because, this thing stands verifiable.
A quote from that agreement as available says...
Quote by who?
In the agreement.
Okay. How did you come by that?
You can fact check. Like my friend and brother, Barrister Clifford, will say, I don't give free advice, but I give. I've been doing that. Yes.
So
it says, I want to take that quote. The borrower hereby irrevocably waives any immunity on the grounds of sovereign or otherwise for itself or its property in connection with any arbitration proceeding pursuant to Article 8, Sub 5 thereof, with the enforcement of any arbitral award pursuant thereto, except fully military assets and diplomatic assets. China was asked, why do you people want to take over the sovereignty of other countries because you give them loan? They said, we don't. But is that the fact? As we speak, the Energy Corporation of Zambia has been taken over The Broadcasting Corporation of Zambia is under the control of the Chinese.
Are these verifiable facts
Those
that
are-
you're putting on the table?
Listen,
so
not-
if we verify this facts,
Not
we'll
just
confirm.
that. Not just that. They have some military formations. They have their police forces in some countries where, because of the kind of agreement they have with those countries, giving them loans, they have to protect their assets with their own police force. If they have any problem, you go to the Chinese police formation in your country. But that is not just that. Chinese have the easiest loan terms to access. But it's been acknowledged that there are gaps. And there is no country that they give loan that does not have natural resources.
So it's more like a criteria for
It-
giving you loans.
Yes, because there is something to fall back on. The people, they see them as Father Christmas.
Something to fall back on. Should you default?
Should you default? Now the question is, for all the loans that we have taken so far, remember we are talking national. By the time we go to state, some people that are feeling comfortable now will start saying it's attacking government. Now, somebody's not attacking government too. Somebody's patriotic. So, going by these experiences, is it advisable that we can have a country where its previous loans were paid off and the rest forgiven, being plunged into a new wave where our entire earning as a people, as prosperous as Nigeria is, our entire earning cannot service our loans. Don't forget, Debt Management Office gave the figures I reeled out. And it is also included that for every loan taken, that was to allay the fears that all these loans, how will we pay? They said that there's an inbuilt mechanism for debt servicing. So there should be no fear. Oh, we are going to default, and these people will come for our critical assets.
So it's an automatic system that just, deducts.
You are too brilliant. That automatic system, does it work? Have we been servicing our debt on time? Recently, the current president, Asiwaju, inherited the
Massive debt.
that the Senate president described it a few days ago that
Foamy economy.
foamy economy. You see, you are too much now. Foamy economy. You know, if you see somebody with foam, you know that epileptic, that person suffers from epilepsy, and in a country to go through that, and coming from the number 3 citizen, and what even Tinubu has said, what Shetima has said, what the finance minister has said, what the civilian governor has said, concerning the economy they inherited, concerning the economy that we were crying here while we were doing campaigns. I said, look, all these ones people want to be president, they want to be this. Have you looked at the destruction of the economy? So that when you finish, you will not come and say, I didn't know it was this bad. We knew it was that bad, and we now know that it is worse because there are some things the reality denied always comes back to haunt.
That takes me to the question I want to
Yes.
ask you next before we take the conversation to passengers on board the flight. From what you've been able to glean from your research,
Yes.
that is why I adopt you, Mr. Forensic, for now. You're automatically taking that name from Dr. B. Chigwekeze, who had been Mr. Forensic. But
Interesting.
because he'd been absent,
For a while.
a while,
Okay.
he'd been a while. So I'm dubbing you Mr. Forensic at the moment.
I thank
Now,
you.
with these loans that we get, and SERAP is asking this administration to publish the loan agreements obtained since 1999.
Yeah.
It's there. Palpable, let me use that term. Like I speak small grammar, go slow, small.
Speak.
Palpable fear that we should entertain with regards to loans that the terms and conditions are not expressly stated, but there are clandestine intentions behind the loans.
You can take what you've just said to the bank, the last one, clandestine intention. One of it had to do when I think the budget of 2021 or thereabout, where how many billion was to be allocated to Lai Mohammed's ministry,
Minister of Information Culture.
and specifically to upgrade facilities for, was it the TV station?
NTA.
I think it went to about 500 billion or thereabout.
Yes. Digital broadcast.
And people said, do you think you need that kind of money there? What have they been producing? How much are they generating? Are they relying on subventions? Or they are going to generate money to be able to repay? So most of the loans taken, by my thinking, had not been to put into productive sectors, but to have money to spend. Remember, we're only talking about bilateral loans now, inter-country loans, which I mentioned the other time that there are some countries that have given loans to us. China is the highest. France, we are getting about $593.75 million. Germany, 144.75. Japan, 62.02. India,
no,
26.
Put those things within a million.
Not dollars, million.
No,
this one's millions. It's only China that you are dealing with in billions.
Okay.
Which brings the total money bilateral. I think that was as at 2023 figure given down about now is 5.16 billion. So,
dollars.
If these monies were put into productive sectors, don't you think we would not have been where we are? That is one. Two, why are we talking about debt servicing, taking more than our entire earning, not loan repayment? Why are these loans going to be paid by our great-great-grandchildren? Some of these loans may last for the next 40 years. So we're going to be enslaved for that length of time. You now come back to the ones that are taking secretly, using our oil. Give us money now. We need money to spend carelessly like we do because we cannot stop our lavish lifestyle. We'll be giving you oil for the next 20 years. We are not talked about the, what do you call that, fraudulent and thing that was used to further destroy the economy. Ways and means.
Ways and means. It was very prominent under the last administration.
Amazingly so, that officially we hear 23 point something, but as we speak, we are talking about almost 30 to 30 something trillion. It's a loan. It's supposed to go with the agreement. But they never even informed the National Assembly.
The then
administration. So it was an illegal loan, which you may never see the agreement because interest are supposed to be paid on such funds. So we are looking at a very dark force that had invaded us, which is what the term I wanted to use for those who have been after me. They are dark forces, and I have given notice that His Excellency should please intervene in my case because I would never demarcate Akwa Ibom State. I call Akwa Ibom State the capital of visionary leadership in Nigeria. I got that from the spiritual realm.
Okay.
And then there's a physical evidence to show that some persons are going to demarcate the state because the revelations that will come out from what those dark forces have been doing, they will have themselves to blame no matter who is involved. So the same thing.
You're connecting
I'm connecting
dark forces to the national.
The dark forces are the national. You see that request by Sarah. Mr. President and the National Assembly will become heroes if they release that document on their own. But then, Jonathan gave Nigeria something that we have not even exploited fully. Freedom of information Act.
Yeah, but there are also limitations to that.
There is no limitation. It has no security
There are
implication.
limitations.
No.
There are limitations.
Let me tell you,
Several journalists have explored that freedom of information.
What's the limitation?
To write
No,
to certain ministries.
What is the limitation?
Demanding details
Yes.
about certain loans, about certain expenditures.
Yes.
And they never get a reply.
Is that a limitation?
I can tell you as a journalist.
No, wait now. Is that a limitation?
It is a limitation.
No, that is illegality. Limitation is a legal limit you cannot go through, which is when it borders on state security. It's a document. So the limitation by a ministry or government agency or whatever failing to submit a document, there is a clear legal thing within this number of days. If you don't need to
legal procedure.
Yes, go to court.
Yeah.
They'll be compelled to bring it.
Yeah. But citizen, I like how you say go to court, but I don't want to say what follows. It's very nice how you say go to court, especially when you use the Freedom of Information Act to write, demanding details, as if you're not in this country.
No.
You say go to court.
Oh no,
citizen.
No, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I talked with a friend, he's a lawyer, just about yesterday or 2 days ago. He got to know that I'm back, and he said, we talk too much. We talk too much in this call. I said, look, we don't talk too much. Why? Because very few of us are talking. The ones you feel people are talking, they are doing murmuring. If you give them microphone, they won't say anything. Why? Because they don't want to be branded. How would they eat? How would they have opportunity to be called in to be part of the fraud? So, there is nothing hindering Nigerians from doing the kind of things that I've been doing. I declared a state of emergency on my life since 2020 during COVID, when I escaped the COVID and some very very unscrupulous persons who felt they could use their power to suppress me, make my life miserable. So I declared a state of emergency. So Nigerians, if you are feeling the pain, declare a state of emergency to speak.
Well,
and you
Nigerians
speak on point. No.
Nigerians are speaking.
A lot of murmuring. Murmuring is not speaking.
Okay, I know. But you speak when you have food in your tummy, yeah? I
don't have food in my tummy, and I've been speaking.
Citizen, everybody's not like you.
We have to listen.
Everybody's not like you.
Let me share something.
Hold on. Let me tell you something, citizen. You see, when we're talking about what we're doing is for the benefit of knowledge. For the benefit of humanity.
Please let me just say this before I forget.
Yeah, but truth be told, not everybody's going to come out to talk.
Wait now.
How many will get credit to even call?
Delegiwa said, a man that is facing an assassin does not look at the mud on his shirt or the tear on his trouser. Frogs went out on expedition. Coming back, one of them got stuck in the mud. Its mate tried to rescue it. They could not. And he said, you people can go. Let me stay here. You know what happened? I think I must have said this before. I've never tired of saying it. They now saw the frog at home, and they asked him, what happened? How did you come out? We all tried to get you out, you could not. He said he heard a sound that was coming. And he knew that kind of sound, by the time he gets to it, he will not survive.
He forced himself out.
What do you call it? 16 tire truck was coming. The frog that was stopped and could not be helped by its mate heard the sound, and you know that every part of that ground will be crushed. He came out on his own. You must ignite yourself, and that has been my secret. Why? Because you must be connected to the spiritual realm. Otherwise, these hawks will just run you down no matter who you are.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Aneti, but I'm calling you.
Mr. Anyete, long time no hear.
That's it, my brother. Is it all of the austerity we're having?
Don't remind me, Biko, Kaisio.
Yeah. Mr. O'Connor.
Yes, sir. I thank you, sir.
Yes. Mr. Ike.
Yes, sir.
It does not matter how much Nigerians will ask government, even at the state level, which we are all private to what is happening, that they will tell us what they have collected. You look at even contracts that are being awarded. Who had ever told you the cost of one contract and the kilometer of one road that is constructed in the amount that they have paid? Who has done that? So for me, I feel whatever that is discussed in the studio, and with what my brother Matthew O'Connor has reeled out, it is quite sad and unfortunate that no one will be ready to do what he is telling you in that city. Nobody, no government will be able to do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, my brother. And I think you should not conclude because the body language of this administration does look like they're doing something about it. The Senate yesterday looked at the issue of, is it the Atlantic City or something?
Centenary City.
Centenary City.
Abuja Centenary City.
And these are things that an administration came and budgeted a humongous amount of money for. So if this administration is, looking into issues, let's not conclude by saying no administration will.
You know something?
Yes.
That project had the budget that is equivalent to Nigeria's current budget far back 10 years ago, over 18 trillion.
And that particular city still remains in the mind.
Yes.
In the utopia.
By the time you know how much must have gone underground on consultancy and other very flimsy things, you wouldn't help but to bring some persons out and flog them on the street.
Yes, we need to actually ask questions and bring people out and let them answer. Listen, in seconds, please, because the plane is already on the ground and we have Bolaji in the cockpit.
Is there already?
Yeah. So let's just get you quickly.
In seconds, one, Joseph, having to do with Akwa Ibom State, charity begins at home. You heard me talk so much about national, and I speak from position of strength. We are going to deal with the issue of Akwa Ibom State because His Excellency Governor Mono must be assisted. Most people in government will never tell him the truth, and a number of them are hiding some very terrible things from the governor. We are going to bring it to the public. Demanding for accountability is the duty of the citizens who the leaders are answerable to. So, going forward, by the grace of God, like I said, we are beginning the podcast, we are going to deal with issues that will change the status quo, and that will make our state much better. So those that will not be comfortable, I wish you all well because there is no going back.